Good morning. Well, does he open up your heart or what? Thank you, Jerome. Where'd he go? Oh my gosh. So incredible. So once again, we come to the holiday season, a deeply religious time that each of us observe in our own way by going to the mall of our choice. Ah, Christmas. What an incredible time. And we have so many activities that happen at this time. You know, the incredible music, the lights, the food, the parties, the clothes, relatives coming, relatives leaving. You know, so many things that happen in this 4-month time. This 4-week time. Feels like 4 months sometimes. 4-week time. And we can get so busy and so distracted and so overwhelmed that we forget the true meaning of this time and this season. You know, we're an interesting culture. We tend to do these big projects and the complicated things that we get to think about a lot pretty well. But the simple things in life, you know, believing the magic of Christmas tends to elude us and escape us. You know, it's been said that we were able to put a man on the moon before we were able to put wheels on luggage. It took you a while. I know, everybody's kind of, you know, but it's just this thing that's the big hard things that we can tend to get on board with those, but these simple messages that Christmas invite us into, peace, love, hope, and joy, that's what we're born. That's the spirit that's within us. And it's been said that he who has not Christmas in his heart will never find it under a tree. So this idea of the spirit that we are is what this season's about, and we're sort of on this super highway of love and joy and peace this time of year, so we get to carry this in to the rest of the year. You know, here at Unity, we absolutely honor that Christ consciousness that's within, that we talk about this birth of Jesus, certainly as a story that happened 2,000 years ago, but how do you apply this story to your life today? How do we see that it's that consciousness that wants to be awakened in you? We talk about often here at Unity that we certainly honor this messenger, this man that became so enlightened, one of the most enlightened people ever walking this planet. But we also see that that is in you and is in me. So we honor the messenger, but we really live the message. That we don't see Jesus as an exception, but we see him as an example. And how do we let this time not be about all these distractions and all these outer things, but this inner sense of the truest sense of namaste, the divinity in me honoring the divinity in you? And how do we find and know and live that divinity so this life becomes this very alive, magical time that's not just about Christmas, but all year long? Had an interesting endeavor I just took on for the month of December. I decided that I was going to go to my place. I'm going to say it's my final addiction, caffeine. And I would go to my place that I visit every day, which is Starbucks, and I was going to buy a coffee for the person behind me anonymously. And I was going to just do this all month and see what happened. Because what I'm understanding about Christmas for me is an engagement in this connection with other people. So I would do this, and I would pay for their coffee beforehand. I'd tell the barista, keep it anonymous, and then I would go to the other end of the coffee bar and just watch what happened to these people. It was the most interesting experience. The people would come in, and they would tell them they'd received a free cup of coffee. Now, almost every single person would lean forward and say, "What?" They were having a hard time believing it. Hard time believing that the universe was working in this way of giving to them. So they would lean forward and they'd say, "What?" And then the person would tell them again, "You have a free cup of coffee." And they'd look up like the angel of coffee was somewhere. It was so interesting. It was just, but I'm standing there and it was just that look of wonder, that sense of connection. And I don't know these people. I didn't know any of these people, but I immediately felt better. Now, see, how could this be? This season is all about giving to people. You want them to be happy. You hope you get the right thing. You hope you receive the right thing. But in this moment, I was able to experience that magic of Christmas by just watching this person get so happy and not even know it had anything to do with me, but the experience of just feeling so happy by this connection that I have to have, that we all are about here at Christmas time and all year round. A number of people, some days when I went in and I felt really good, this was easy to do. Some days when I didn't feel so good, it was a little harder to do. And one day I had a little minor car accident on the way into Starbucks and I didn't do it at all. So I see that it is my idea of engaging with life and with people that allows this Christ consciousness to be alive in me. There was a movie that received an Academy Award, many of them a few years ago, called Crash. At the beginning of the movie, Don Cheadle is in a car accident, and he says, we've lost the sense of touch so much that we have to crash into one another to connect, to get that feeling of being connected. Now, do we really need to crash into one another to feel connected? Perhaps it's this shift that Christmas gives us, this opening, this going beyond this place of feeling separated to automatically get that sense of all is well. And that's what happened for me in the coffee store. It was also interesting, one day a large man in a black outfit received his coffee and he did the same thing. What? And then, looked around and received his free cup of coffee. And then he turned to come toward me, and he had this big silver badge on his chest, which showed he was a police officer. And I thought, I'm so glad he didn't know it was me or he'd think I was bribing him, So it was just that sense of oneness, of being able to get beyond what I know about myself, and all of us get beyond what we know about ourselves to get into this flow, get into this sense of being connected to all that is. We've got a very interesting culture. We're on the computer, we're texting, we're feeling this sense of separation a lot in life. Or we even feel this sense of separation from our own joy and our own prosperity. Most of us, when we're talking nowadays, will say, in this time of recession, and then we go on to tell about how we're not going to live our life or how we're not going to connect with people. And that, friends, is where that birth of that Christ consciousness is not happening. That's where we cut off that aliveness. This Christmas story is all about engagement. I hope if Come Into Unity, that every story in the Bible is the story of you and the story of me. They're stories that are about our lives in ways that we can live in this sense of feeling this connection to all that is. That spirit in me connecting to that spirit in you. So let's look at the Christmas story and the people in the Christmas story and allow yourself to relate to the story. The messages, not so much the messengers, but what does the story mean to each and every one of us? So let's look at Mary. Mary's where this story began. And Mary, a young Jewish woman, obviously quite, a divine being, just like all of us, being chosen by God to do things in her life. And Mary is visited by the angel Gabriel. And Gabriel gives Mary a message that is the most prevalent message in the entire Bible. 2 words. Anybody know what they are? Fear not. Fear not. Fear not. Something is going to be born through you. A child is going to be born through you. Something is going to happen to you, and fear not. And allow yourself to be an instrument through which God works. Fear not. Do we tell ourselves that much? Or do we tell ourselves, fear a lot? Most of us we make a lifestyle out of being afraid and saying no to life.